Oh, what, this? Yeah, no. This is juice. Don't worry about this. Don't. What's up, everyone? It's your girl, TheKyannaSimone, and I am back on your screen, which means I am back with another video. Now, today's video is going to be the breakup part 2, as you can tell by the title. So, of course, if you didn't see part 1, go ahead and click that little card, key, whatever you want to call it, to watch part 1, and then come back and watch part 2. If you've already seen part 1, then welcome to part 2. Do not forget to turn on your post notifications, subscribe to my channel, like and comment on this video. After I left New York and D kind of moved my things, helped me move my things to Connecticut in the span of 2 days, like how I mentioned in the last video. It was really rough, like the first month being in Connecticut. So mind you, I did go to school in Connecticut, but I was college, you know, so like it's different than actually living with a friend. And my friend also has a husband and 3 kids. So imagine me living in like this house, and I've never lived in a house with so many people for such a long extended time. So I get there and, you know, everything is cool, everybody welcomes me, blah, blah, blah. But like the first day I was there, it was so hard. My friends came and they like met me. I had a friend who lived in Connecticut at the time. I have a friend who lives in New York, and they both came to the house where I was gonna be staying at, and they like took me out to eat and stuff like that. But it was so hard to eat. I remember that we went to Cheesecake Factory, I think, because it was like a mall right up the street. So we went to Cheesecake Factory and we kind of ate and we talked and stuff like that. So my friends came and hang out with me, and then I think we were just like at the mall, driving around, whatever. One of my friends left, and then the other friend, it's no longer my friend, she kind of hung out with me a little more, and then she eventually ended up leaving. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a different kind of feeling when, you know, your family that's supposed to be family is not with you, and then, you know, you had somebody who you know are still deeply in love with at the time, you know, kind of leave you. So now you're just with good friends and, you know, your best friend, and it was a lot to get adjusted to, living in a neighborhood that's so quiet. I did speak to D maybe a couple times. I think the weekend after, we spoke on the phone here and there. I don't remember that conversation too well, but I remember it was something along the lines of like, yeah, I think it was like, why is this happening? Like, could we still be friends? And at the time, I think we were trying to be friends, but you know, when I would text her, she wouldn't really text me back, and then it was just like, why am I even bothering? I do remember that conversation, and then I remember having another conversation with her where she was just like, she kind of needed to have some space. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Me, just want to be like friends with my exes. I have no idea why, but I just feel like if we spent so much time together, like, and especially with this relationship ending, it wasn't really like anything bad had happened to either one of us. Like, none of us did the other one wrong. It was just she didn't want to be with me. So I was like, why can't we just be friends? But I don't know what's going on in her head, so I can't speak for her. Ended up having another conversation where I asked her to meet me so we can talk, because I still feel like I didn't know what was happening and I didn't know why anything was happening. So after we spoke about that, we actually did meet a month after we broke up, and that conversation was just kind of like have like closure in a sense. Pretty much everything going from why we had to break up and where she's at now and where she sees herself going. In that moment, like, we were just crying. I remember sitting in the car and we were like crying. We were both like crying because we still had so much love for each other, but we just could not be together. And to me, I don't understand that. To me, if you are like in love with somebody and you want to be with somebody, I guess that's what it is, right? If somebody doesn't want to be with you, then it's over. The process of that month being there, I end up getting 3 jobs. working as an assistant manager, a secret shopper, and another assistant manager job. So I was like having to hustle like really hard and really having to save money because I knew that I didn't want to be in this house for so long. Not for any strange reason, but just because I didn't want to live with somebody again. Like I didn't want to spend my life living with other people again. I needed to know what it was like to hustle, and I needed to know what it was like to actually have my own place. And that was always the goal and the dream of mine, to have my own place, but I just never executed that plan. So I was like, you know what? You have a lull in your life right now where you have this moment, you have this opportunity to save some money and then have your own place. So why don't you just do that? In that time of working these 3 jobs pretty much over the summer, over the course of August, September, and October, I worked 3 jobs, and it was so hard. I'm not gonna say it was hard. It was just taxing on the body because having to work 3 jobs and having to, try and find a place and having to kind of have a social life, but not really, because my mind was so focused on working and so focused on making money and so focused on starting another life or a new life where I can be like more free and more true to myself. It wasn't really any time to do anything else. Like I'm like talking nonsense. Because of that, I felt like I didn't really get a chance to hang out with my friend and her kids more. But at the same time, I was like, I can't stay here. I can't be here. It was fun working 3 jobs because I was always on the go. I remember I would be getting up at like 8 o'clock in the morning and then probably coming back to their house at like maybe 12 at night, sometimes 1 in the morning, and then having to get up and do that over again. I remember like that was a routine, working 3 jobs like that. And it was so cool because when I was a secret shopper for 1 job, I can take that job and it will take me to another job. I know it's not making any sense right now, but that is what that was. And it was just so cool to do. It was just so fun because at that moment I was realizing at myself, like, I could do anything if I put my mind to it, kind of thing. Like, I'm working 3 jobs right now and I'm saving this money right now to move somewhere else. And I didn't really know where I was gonna move to. There was a point where I was really sleeping on a couch in their basement, and that was hard. Like, I went from sleeping in a bed with my ex to sleeping in a bed with one of her kids, not like that, so calm down. And then to sleeping on a couch. I chose to sleep on a couch because it was just cooler in the basement and it was several months and blah, blah, blah. But when it actually did get cold, I just planned to stay down there because it was just easier for me to get up, go, and then be out. So I did sleep on that couch in the basement. And one of the things I remember telling myself was like, I'm not gonna be here for a holiday and I'm not gonna be here for my birthday. Like, I don't wanna sleep on a couch on my birthday. Like, I want to be in a bed on my birthday. Like, I want to be in a bed where I can wake up to and say it's mine. And I didn't want to be on a couch when holidays started to come around, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, because I wasn't really feeling bad about myself at that point in life, and I didn't want to feel any worse about myself because I was sleeping on the couch pretty much. And I'm always grateful to say I had a place to stay while I got my stuff together. But just something about sleeping on a couch like motivated me so much more to get up and do what I had to do, and to not play games, and to not waste money, and to not be frivolous with my time. Let me tell you guys, there was some rough days where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I can't continue on in life. But then something just clicked and was like, if you don't continue on in life now, like, you're never gonna know what life is like. After a couple of months blew by, I think it was October. I think October sounds right. I went to visit DC actually for 2 job interviews. And the first one, clearly I didn't get because I don't work there. The second one is the job I actually have now. I took the phone call in DC. And it was just like a phone interview saying, hey, you know, are you able to meet with us, you know, tomorrow or the next day? And I had to tell them, like, listen, I don't live in the area. Like, if you can meet me today, that'd be great. But if not, like, I don't live here. And I remember the recruiter being like, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to get this job. So I kind of went back to Connecticut feeling bummed out because I wasn't gonna get this job. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I put everything into getting the job. Like, I pretty much up and came to DC for a day, hoping I would get this job. And even though it was a phone interview, but hoping I would get this job. And now it sounded like I wasn't gonna get it. And I was like, ugh. Okay. I was like, calm down. So riding the bus back to DC, I got a text from D and pretty much saying like, oh, I miss you. If I could throw that text up here, I would. But if I can't, so sorry. But the text pretty much saying like, oh, you know, I missed you and can we hang out someday, blah, blah, blah. But this is like 11 o'clock at night while I'm on the bus going back to DC. So she said, oh, you know, I want to hang out with you. I want to see you. And I'm like, okay, sure, not a problem. But mind you, I was slapping me on the bus. I was asleep like. And then I heard, so at this point, I didn't change her text ringer. So it was like kind of like that ding, 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 kind of ringer. So it woke me up out of my sleep. And I'm like, I was like, nah, I'm dreaming. So I went back to sleep again, and then I heard it again, and I'm like, yo, I'm not dreaming. So I looked at my phone, and I saw she texted me, and I'm like, yo? Like, we haven't spoken in a while, like, huh? So I'm like, okay, I'm getting so excited, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, like, maybe this is something, you know? Like, who knows? My idiot ass. So I told her, yeah, we could meet, and we met the week after. This was probably like in October. We met the week after, and she was kind of just telling me like what she's been doing in her life and that how she was getting ready to move to LA. She just been like dating other people. So in my head, I was like, oh, well, kind of you're dumb. Like, why would you ever think she'll come back to you kind of thing? So I'm like, oh, okay. So we were in this restaurant and she was telling me, and I remember like just feeling so ridiculous for even thinking that we were gonna get back together at that point. And oh my God, it was just so ridiculous for me to even think of that. Hung out that day, and it was kind of weird a little bit being around her, but then as we were hanging out, like things just kind of felt normal and just kind of felt weird. And at the same time, normal in the sense because like we were like kind of on each other all the time, but weird because like, yeah, we're not together and I'm probably not going to speak to you after this. That day really gave me closure. That day was like her saying like, no, if there was a chance she wouldn't get back with me. No, that she doesn't see anything going forward with us right now. Again, she like wants to be friends, but like that clearly didn't happen. Pretty much all the questions I had answers to was just like, yeah, no, and no, and no. I'm like, okay. And here my idiot ass like, yeah, maybe. But now I'm like, really? Whatever. We left each other, we parted ways that day, and we had a conversation because I was telling her about me like possibly getting a job in DC and possibly moving. Because at this point, the job that I thought I wasn't gonna get, I was actually in the hiring process for and actually in the interview process for. So that seemed like it was moving along nicely. And I was like, listen, if I get this job, like I'm gonna be moving. I just don't know what and when and how. And then she was like, okay, like, you know, I wanna help you out. That's the thing, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you're really gonna move, like, I wanna help you. I wanna be there for you, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. But I'm also like, hello, why not? Like, if you don't take this opportunity, you're gonna have to like find a car and find somebody to drive the car, because y'all know I do not drive. After we met, it was on Monday. I got a phone call either that Tuesday or that Wednesday. No, I'm lying. I got a message, but I didn't look at the message until Tuesday or Wednesday, stating that I had got the job and that he wanted to speak to me to finalize some things. And I remember being at work just crying. Like I could not stop crying because everything that I was doing in my life was kind of coming full circle for me to get this job and for me to move. Something ended up happening where the hiring manager couldn't get back to me by November 1st, so that kind of gave me some wiggle room to move. So I was like, okay, I gotta find an apartment. Like, all I care about is about finding an apartment, and everything else will work itself out. But texting D being like, hey, like, I think I'm gonna move soon. Like, is that offer still up for you to help me move my stuff down? Because for me, I already knew like that was the easiest and fastest way for me to get my stuff down here. And I kind of wanted to hang out with her, like, duh. And she was like, yeah, you know, you still can, like, just let me know, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like, keep this weekend open, like, kind of, you know, back and forth, trying to confirm, deny what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. I ended up having an apartment in Virginia, and I ended up, like, talking to her about it, being like, you know, the rent is this much, and, you know, I think it's gonna be a good area. And I think a week before I moved, she was like, that's not a good apartment, like, the rent is too high. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what I'm making, I could pay for it, which is true. I could have paid for that rent, but she was saying, like, why would you want to pay that high when you could pay for something less or something cheaper? I'm like, oh my God. Within a week, luckily, the apartment that I had is a company where they have sister apartments all around the DMV area. So they took my application from one apartment to the apartment that I have now, which is in Maryland, and just transferred my application over. So now I have this apartment, which I love so much, and it's cheaper. So it was a good idea. It was a good move. Now knowing the area, I would have hated Virginia and even hated myself for living in Virginia. So we moved all my stuff down here. I kind of said my goodbyes to my friends and stuff like that because the move kind of happened really fast. I moved in 4 months, but the day it happened, again, it was another 2-day process where I like took all my stuff and like just packed it up, you know, put them in little bins, and that was it because we had to go. She ended up taking off 2 days off of work just to move me down and like, you know, kind of get me settled for the 2 days, and then she left. Before we drove down, I went to say bye to my grandmother. I didn't tell my grandmother I was moving until I saw her the day I was moving. And I was like, hey, I'm moving, I'm leaving, I'm going to DC. And she's like, oh my God, what? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'll let you know when I get there. So my grandmother was like, oh, who's taking you? And I was like, oh, my ex. And she's like, oh, you and your ex, are y'all gonna get back together? And I'm like, no, it's not like that, like, no. And she's like, yeah, your ex gonna be taking you. And what you doing tonight? Stay in a hotel? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, you're not getting back together. I was like, no, we're not getting back together. And I remember her just being like, I know what happens in hotels. I'm like, oh my God. Like, grandma, chill. Like, it was just so funny because that's like the realest I've ever seen her in my entire life. Pretty much just talking to me about sex. Like, what the hell? I get back in the car, and this is like maybe 6:30, 6:40, something like that. At night, we ended up getting some pizza at my favorite pizza place. I ended up dropping off a letter at my mom's house, just basically saying like, hey, I am ready to have you in my life, blah, blah, blah. But if you're not ready to have me in your life, then I understand. But whatever, that is also in the family update video that I speak about the letters if I left her. Before I left, we ended up driving my stuff down. We drove the whole way. It was like 4 hours or maybe 4.5 hours. We ended up staying in a hotel in Virginia for the night, and then we ended up like waking up the next day and, you know, getting breakfast and then heading out to my apartment. So then when we actually got in my apartment, they actually like cleaned the carpets, cleaned the entire apartment, make sure everything was great. I moved my stuff in, then we went back out, you know, just to get like regular groceries, and we went to Walmart and just a other bunch of different places we went to just to make sure I was like settled in for the night. And then the next morning she got up and left. And that was pretty much it. I know like me saying, oh, it's my breakup story part 2. I call it part 2 because it's a continuation of my life, pretty much. It's a continuation of the communication that D and I had in this time. I call it part 2 because it's everything that happened after the breakup until I finally feel like I got my life somewhat in order. I'm not gonna say totally in order because I do not feel like my life is totally in order right now, but I do feel like I'm taking steps for my life to be in order. But I call it part 2 because at the point of moving to this apartment, everything in that span felt like one chunk of time. So that is it. That is my full continuum breakup story. That is just how things ended. Like I said in the other video, and I can like confirm this now, we just do not speak anymore. I could not tell you why we don't speak. It's on her. I think that we don't speak. I've tried, a couple of times, not through text, but just like through Instagram, like trying to tag her and things, and she doesn't really like respond back to me. So it's clear you don't want to speak to me. So that's fine. I've stopped trying after a while because I'm not gonna keep putting myself out there for somebody who doesn't even want to speak to me, doesn't even want to be my friend. So that is just what life is. I'm not forcing anything anymore in 2018, and I don't think you should have to. If she gets the courage to actually be friends with me, then in that point in my life, if I want to be friends with her, I'll be friends with her. If she actually gets the courage to speak to me and I don't want to be friends with her, then I'm not going to be friends with her. But what I'm not going to keep doing is trying to talk to somebody who clearly does not want to talk to me. The reason why I wanted to make this video is because I could really tell my energy from the first video, and I can really see the difference in this video. Like, as I'm talking to you guys right now, like, I can really see the energy and I can really see the difference, that it's not from the same place. It's not from the same place of hurt, sadness, confusion, or anything like that. It's just a place of clarity, a place of understanding, and a place of knowing that que sera, sera. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and also click that little notification button so you can be notified of when I upload. Go ahead and leave a comment down below and keep it active in my comment section, because you guys know that I love to chat, and I love to chat with you guys so much. So go ahead and leave a comment of maybe about a breakup that you guys had, or just like a story that you guys have had that you overcome from, or whatever. Do not forget to follow me on all my social media channels. It will be right here at TheKyannaSimone. Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram are all TheKyannaSimone. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.